How did you meet him?
I've known him for years because, I've known of him for years because he was a University of Oregon football player.
Became an actor?
Yep, not the only one to follow that path, too. I'll show that in a,
Not at all.
in a little bit. As far as specifically University of Oregon
Oh,
to
really?
becoming an actor. Yeah.
Mark Harmon was a football player.
Yep, at University of Michigan.
He played for LA.
Um, who am I thinking of from Michigan then that became an actor? Oh, I'm thinking of John Wayne that played at Michigan. Yeah, he played at UCLA. Hello, Lori. How is everybody? While we give it a minute or two to see if anyone else is going to join us.
Trying to stay cool and out of the smoke.
It's actually not that smoky here, so it's okay. I mean, yes, you can tell in the sky it's smoky, but we got enough of a breeze that it's not bad.
Kind of the canary.
Yeah.
COPD. Like keel over, that's the time to get out.
Right. I don't know who else is going to join us. We might have a small crowd tonight, but thank you, Bowen, and thank you, David, and Lori and Joyce for being here. It's Harold, right? Is your husband correct, Joyce?
Howard.
Howard. Sorry.
Howard. Right.
Sorry about that. If Howard's there, you don't have your camera on. So if Howard's there, hello, Howard.
Oh, I thought my camera was on. I didn't realize it wasn't.
Nope, both yours and Lori's cameras are off.
How do I turn it on in Zoom?
In the bottom left corner, there will be a little camera icon that says start video or stop video. Right now,
I see it.
Flash through it.
I
On that.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. That window's bright. I'm going to pull a shade. Getting ready for this art show. The rest of my house is boxes of pictures and canvases. It's a disaster right now.
Totally understandable.
Is this going to be in your way when you get your order? Is this going to be in your way when you get your order?
We have an extra table if need be.
Yeah, I can
we
just
can pull out, or we can just grab that table behind you and maybe slide it down.
Yeah.
Down in my hand, it's broken. Close it, and it came down in my lap. No, we couldn't even close it. Kurt said to say hi. I'm gonna just turn it away from the window.
So did you reach out to Eric? Did Eric reach out to you?
I reached out to him. I've known Erik online for years. We've never actually met in person, but I've known him online for a long time. There we go. Hello, Joyce. Good to see you again.
Hi. Whoops. Now where'd you go?
Okay, well, I guess if more people join, great. I will go ahead and get started with some of the announcements and information. Thank you, everyone, for joining our July Klamath Film meeting. Small but hearty crew for this month. Understandable with the smoke. We've had a lot going on. In fact, right now, I'm on day 4 of teaching a week-long film camp at Oregon Tech. I've been teaching kids a lot about drone use and cinematography for some videos that are going on, and Klamath Film will be hosting a film camp for middle and high school students in middle July 12th through the 16th. So if you know any Klamath County-based kids that might have an interest in learning about filmmaking,
Yeah, it's fine.
we have scholarships in place, so they will be able to attend for free. It's normally a $125 registration, but we'll spend July 12th through the 16th at the Ragland. And then every kid involved is going to make their own film. And we will have a community showcase of all of the student films on Saturday, August 7th. So that'll be exciting to be able to show off what the kids make after a week of learning filmmaking. We've also had a lot of interesting stuff going on here locally that I will flip through. About 2 weeks ago, we had a documentary film crew here in town from LA that are making a documentary for the Discovery Channel called Fugo. It's all about World War II Japanese balloon bombs and the Mitchell Monument that's out by Bly area. So they had a crew out here that filmed a lot at the Klamath County Museum. Spent all day at the Klamath County Museum. They did interviews with family members and the Kingsley Air Base historian and a few others to gather up materials, then filmed out in Bly. So hopefully that will come out sometime this fall. We are also been helping out with location scouting here for a potential spot. Hey, Court, good to see you, sir. For a film called The Private Dance. And The Private Dance is going to be filming July 24th and July 25th here in Klamath Falls. This is us scouting on Main Street. We are going to be filming on July 25th, Sunday, July 25th, at the Herald and News for what's going to be about a 6 to 8 hour shoot, and we need about 8 extras for it. So we are going to have some auditions here soon, likely at the Ross Raglan, but I don't have a specific date yet. As soon as I have a date, I will email that out to everybody. So just sit tight and wait if you want to be a part of that film. It's just a generic office scene that they'll be filming. And they'll also be doing a midnight to 4 a.m. film shoot at Sugarman's Corner. So, and there may be a couple other locations involved as well. Film camp, I just mentioned, July 12th through the 16th. The sign-up link is on klamathfilm.org. So if you know of a kid who might be interested in learning filmmaking, it's also a great family activity. We've gotten some grants in place for a bunch of new equipment, and we'll be doing it on the Ross Raglan stage. We'll be filming some stuff, so it should be pretty fun and engaging. It's for middle school and high school kids in Klamath County. We also have, thanks to the film camp and some of the other things that we're doing, we got a bunch of grants and we were able to buy new equipment. So I went on a nice big shopping spree, and there are some photos of some of the things that we have. We've got wireless HDMI transmitter now, a generator, a canopy tent, a camera jib, 8-foot long camera jib, a new A10 Mini, a new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, more tripods, some of the microphones that are sitting out here now.
Canopy.
Yep, the canopy tent. We got more cables. We got a Rodecaster Pro, some different stabilizers, a Steadicam, a streaming bridge,
Sandbags.
all sorts of gear that can now be checked out by Klamath Film members. So if you are working on a project soon, I will send out an updated equipment list as soon as we get everything in the mail. But we got a ton. We went on about $10,000 shopping spree, so we got a ton more film gear. So Lori, if you need a tripod for stop motion stuff, or if you need some stronger gear, you don't have to do 700 squats anymore. We've got plenty of stuff to help you with your puzzling if you want to film more stuff. So I will send out an updated equipment list soon. Once that list goes out, anything on that list people can check out if they want to. This is the first time you've been out of the house in a while, right, Court? So our film festival is rapidly approaching. Klamath Independent Film Festival is going to be September 17th through the 19th at the Ross Raglan. We will again be doing a live streaming portion of it, and we will be announcing our film selections. We have our meeting to determine our final selections July 10th. We'll be announcing the films this year on July 13th. So look for a video on our social media that will have all of the videos or all of the films that we're going to be showing in September. And for our film festival this year, we will be doing a street fair again, like we did in 2019. So out in front of the Ross Raglan on Friday, September 17th, before we show a film called Meek's Cutoff, we will be having some food trucks. We'll have some music. We'll have some interactive games people can play, some display items, and then we'll do kind of a welcome of all of our filmmakers and show the film Meek's Cutoff, which is made by Kelly Reichert, who made First Cow and has shot a bunch of other films in Oregon. Meek's Cutoff was shot in Oregon. And we're working on, if not Kelly, some of the people who worked on the film to possibly do a Q&A afterwards. Then Saturday the 18th will be all of our feature film selections. Sunday the 19th will be all of our short films, and then we'll end with our awards ceremony. So with that, I would say introductions, but I think it's a small enough crew that we all kind of know each other. Court, David, myself, Bowen here, and then Lori and Joyce. No Howard tonight, I guess. Howard off doing something else?
He's working somewhere around the house.
Okay.
He said hi.
You guys had when you did the shorts for the Oscars,
Yes.
and we saw your meeting advertised and guest speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Come join us. Okay, perfect.
What's your name?
Delana and Stan Heidrich.
Well, here, since we have people online as well, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about connections to film, if any, or if you're just a film fan.
Okay. Well, we are Delana and Stan Heidrich, and we're big film fans and armchair critics at home, but we don't have any
Unpaid film critics, yeah.
and so we like going to your events a lot, and we don't have the experience in making movies other than just home stuff at home. Just for fun.
Well, thank you for coming out to all of our events. We appreciate that. Did you make it to the film festival last year too, or?
We've done some of them. I don't know. I don't think we did last year.
Okay.
Did you do something online?
We
feel like
did
we did something online.
last
We did a
year. We
hybrid combo.
did a
Okay.
combo, both
Yeah,
at the Ross Ragland, and all of it was also available online. We'll be doing that again this year too.
Okay.
Oh, and perfect timing. There's Erik joining in.
National noticement of hybrid system of film
Yes,
festival.
yeah. We were actually the only film festival in the entire country last fall that was able to have an in-theater audience, thanks to our COVID numbers being so low. Hey, Erik. Hello, sir. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, fantastic. I even see the O in your back window.
Yeah, it's my wife's car. Mine's kind of falling apart, and I have the traditional UO one. So
Well,
I'm curious.
we'll give you a little break here because I have an introductory video to introduce you, and then we'll jump into what we're doing. But your timing is
Wow.
absolutely perfect.
Okay, cool.
So let's get to know our guest tonight, who's in the bottom right corner there, actor Erik Nicolaisen.
Might it be fun to loan me your soul?
I'm not gonna lie, that does sound pretty fun.
You know, I had a chance to play collegiately. Oh, basketball? Huh? No, golf, frisbee golf. And I deviated my septum, and that's just a rough career ender.
I believe a two-hand touch. Oh, that sounds friendly. But if we win, we get all your Dr. Pepper. Steve, you guys in?
Yeah. Wicked coffee, Mr. Jim. Julia, turn the frog the other way around.
Hey, Dave, you're from Minnesota, right?
Yes, the land of 10,000 lakes.
Control. Some of it.
Yeah.
If you could take a nap with anyone, who would it be?
Shatner.
Who parked the helicopter on the roof?
Oh, a helicopter. I don't know who would park a helicopter. You bunch of dirty snitches!
Look, Double G, just because you're a big celebrity, it doesn't mean you get to break the law.
I will punch you in the face.
Huh? $5, it'll make your day. Pop you in the kisser? Spank on the ass? Hey, you don't have to pay for that. No, you give me $5 and I punch you.
Why would I do that?
It's exciting.
No significant developments in the 2 to 4 centimeter category since my last report at noon.
So much as a loose screw hits the space station, your ass is brass.
You know, you kind of sound like a villain in an 80s.
Hey, 97! Jet! Red 97!
Did you say 97?
Yes.
You know, that reminds me of Geico's 97% customer satisfaction rating.
97%?
Help by Geico's fast and friendly claim service.
Oh yeah, baby. Geico's as fast and friendly as it gets. Geico.
Selling cell phones. Throwback cell phones. Old school. It's not digital.
H2O for you know who. Gonna stay hydrated. Got a huge swim meet this season. What happened, y'all? Get upset. Why are you angry?
Fantastic. Hello, Eric. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Your timing is
Thanks
perfect.
for having me. Nice little edit there, Kurt.
We normally go through some introductions, so this would be a good chance for you to hear about some of us. We always have a very eclectic group with Klamath Film. We are a nonprofit based in Klamath Falls that helps with film productions that want to come to the area. We do film location scouting and auditions, and we do an annual film festival and a whole bunch of stuff out here. So we have a very eclectic group of actors, filmmakers, and just film fans. So obviously I'm Kurt Lidke. I'm the executive director of Klamath Film. I've been in that position for about 1.5 years now. David, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm David Reed. I'm the vice president of the Klamath Film. I'm a retired Navy photographer, actor, camera operator. Help out with productions, and sometimes I'm extras in major movies we do around here.
Fantastic. Well, why don't you introduce yourself again real quick?
Okay, Delana and Stan Heydrich, and we are just film fans, so we're guests here tonight.
And why don't you pass the mic down? Oh, I'm sorry, David. Man, I'm spilling everything today. Here, let's bring Cord over. Cord, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Cord Koenig. I'm on the board of Klamath Film. I help Kurt and occasionally make films. I used to be a science filmmaker, and now I'm working with narrative films.
And Bowen?
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Bowen Browder. I'm a recent graduate from Oregon Institute of Technology with a BS in Communication Studies. I've been with Klamath Film for a couple months now, and I guess you could call me an aspiring actor.
Fantastic. And Joyce, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, nice to meet you, Eric. I'm Joyce Dickens. I'm a local Klamath Falls photographer, independent photographer, member of Klamath Film, and also a new member of the Klamath Art Association. And I'm currently showing some work there if anyone is interested. It'll be for the 75th annual celebration beginning July 4th through the end of this month. And then, of course, my one-person art show I'm presenting at Falcon Heights on July 17th and 18th. So welcome everybody to come out and take a break from real life and enter into my world.
And Lori, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori. Hi, Eric. Yeah, I'm a volunteer. I've been with Klamath Film for a few years now, been on the board for a couple of years. I like promoting and doing creative endeavors. And sometimes that's doing short films the hard way, as Kurt would maybe put it, with 700 squats versus having a tripod. But you learn, lessons learned. But yeah, and then I also do some backstage work. But yeah, I just really enjoy watching films and the creative process.
Fantastic. And Erik, let me see if I can get your basic bio correct. From Portland originally, a University of Oregon football player who decided to join the theater program at the University of Oregon and became an actor, and also runs a successful mural business. So creates a lot of large advertisings that go on the sides of buildings. Anything else you want to throw out there that you do? Do you do some improv or stand-up work or anything like that?
I haven't. I kind of hung that up. I had a show at the Comedy Store for a few years, an improv act every Tuesday night, but I haven't done that in a while. But no, that's. I think you hit it on the head. Yeah. Family, got 3 kids. I live in Studio City and own and operate this mural business as well. So I'm I'm back and forth between Portland and LA a lot. And yeah, you did a good job.
Okay. Well, Erik is not the only former University of Oregon football player who has gone on to become a successful actor. Erik is one of those folks. I'm not sure if it's a derogatory term or not to say character actor, but one of those people that you may not know the name, but you go, oh, it's that guy who was in that thing. How many times do you experience that of, oh, aren't you that person who was in that one thing?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Or more people just go, hey, do I know you? We've met, right? I know, just, and it's just because, especially with the commercial stuff, it's just so subtly bores a hole into your brain, kind of, you feel like you know those people in this strange lives of ours. Oh.
Well,
yeah.
One of the people that you may recognize that followed an almost identical path to Erik is a guy named Doug Judge. And Doug played football at the University of Oregon in the early 80s. He was actually an all Pac-10 selection as a safety. But you probably know him from his appearances in films like The Dark Knight Rises, and most famously on Stargate SG-1. If you watch that show and it's long run, that's another University of Oregon football player that's had great success going through the theater program at the University of Oregon and then going on to become an actor.
Devin Long, I don't know if you've had him on this.
Yep.
I just, you have or no?
Well, no, I know Devin personally, but I haven't had him on as a guest. But that's another guy who's done a lot of on-camera work.
Yeah, I just talked to him yesterday. He's going to Canada to shoot it's a reboot of a British show for an American audience. It's a huge gig. So he's another one that's having some really nice success down in LA.
Fantastic. Well, Erik, these things are very casual. We'll just kind of have an easy-going Q&A. But first, I have a little surprise for you. I have probably the largest private collection of University of Oregon football footage outside of the Casanova Center. My collection goes back to the 1930s, and I went through every single in preparation for this meeting. You may want to pull over for this one. I went through every single game from 99 through 2000, including the spring games, looking at every single special teams play. And I put together an Erik Nicolaisen highlight video.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah. So here is the Erik Nicolaisen football highlights.
It's going to be quick, everybody. It's going to be very short.
Crowd again at Autzen Stadium. I think that Allen Robinson will field a 1-yard gain. This is to the outside, to the 26-yard line, 27-yard line. Good return for Allen Robinson, right about his seasonal average. But in Seattle, Robinson at the down. See, but you can see how slippery this artificial turf. High, headed for Robinson at the goal line. California leading his way. That's a seed. Moves a couple of tacklers and is finally dragged down at the 26-yard line. And then we have a late flag, and that might be against Calvary.
Hilarious.
At the 6-yard line, pretty good return out of it. He gets it up to about the 30-yard line. Both teams got together. Most importantly, the game tonight.
There you are, sir. Your career highlights as a University of Oregon Duck.
That is a lot of work. Well done. That's obscure.
My personal favorite of that was the special teams kickoff return where you actually tackled David Moretti as opposed to blocking someone.
It's a real highlight. I appreciate you pulling that out. My
So
dad's
what-
gonna be happy.
I could pass you the YouTube link for that, so that you can share it around to all your buddies to prove it if need be. So what was the timeline as far as you deciding that you wanted to get into acting? You didn't complete your senior year with the football program, right? You turned and focused instead just on theater?
Yeah, actually I came in, I gray shirted. I came in late because the whole plan was for me to play center, but I weighed, I think, 214 pounds or something. And Bilotti said, you know, we watched Mark Gregg do it at 245 pounds, and we think if you can pack on a little bit more weight, so we'd like you to come in and have your scholarship start January 1st. So it'll buy you an extra year of eligibility to put on weight. And so I did that. Then I gray shirted, then I red shirted. And long story short, I got stuck on the defensive side of the ball and did that for 2 years. I guess my red shirt sophomore year. And it just wasn't the same. Football wasn't the same for me on the defensive side of the ball. I just didn't like read and react versus I like to know where I'm going and I'll get the job done kind of an attitude. And then the other kicker was I knew I always wanted to act. And with football, you couldn't do any productions, which was a huge part of the theater program at Oregon. So I was a fine arts major instead. I'm an artist as well. I did it just to keep the right side of my brain going, you know, instead of acting. So then it was like my redshirt sophomore year. I already had enough credits to graduate, and it just wasn't any fun. And on top of that, I'd had a lot of concussions, and I just was like, I don't want to do this for 2 more years, and I'd rather just move on with things. And it was a hard decision at the time, but
It might be our connection as well.
just what I did, and I really kind of went, and it's bad right now.
We lost you for a second, but you're back now, so it's all good.
So I'm just getting to our cabin in Healdsburg, California. I drove from LA today, and I'm going out a little country road. If I cut out, I will call you guys back.
Okay.
Up if you can hear it.
Yeah, we are hearing you a little bit. It's kind of cutting in and out, but we still got you.
Do you want me to call you back in 5 minutes when I have Wi-Fi and it's going to be better?
That might work out better. Yeah. There's a few more things that we can definitely talk about, or we can just watch your football highlights again.
I don't know. It was captivating, but not that captivating.
Okay. There was an interesting play where he got a late hit that turned into a 15-yard penalty on Cal, and another one where he actually tackled one of his teammates instead of blocking somebody. So
No, that was good. There was one. I think it was Washington State. I don't know if that was on the reel, but that was where I think Josh Rogers and I shared the special teams players of the game because we continued this block into the sideline for like we sat the guy on the bench. I mean, it was pretty funny.
very, very nice, sir. Well, this would be a good opportunity while things are starting to cut out. We do have a couple of films coming up, so I can talk about that. And if anyone has any projects, I know Joyce, you already mentioned that you have a photography exhibit coming up soon. So we've been busy. We've had unprecedented interest in filmmaking here in Southern Oregon, which has been great. Prior to this year, there had been 11 films made in Klamath County, going back to the silent film era. This year, we've already had 3 films made, and we have a 4th coming up in late July. So that interest level is coming, I think, largely out of last year's film festival, where we put everything online. And as soon as the film festival was over, I got all the demographic info. We had people watch in Atlanta and Vermont and New York and LA and all over. And immediately after the film festival, I started getting emails and phone calls of inquiries from people asking to do some location scouting and what might be available for a film production. As a result, now we've had 2 shorts that were shot in April. We've had a documentary shot here. We have another short that is planning to shoot here July 24th and July 25th. We have several feature films that are looking to come here, though we don't have definitive timelines. One initially was going to shoot in January. That film has Christina Ricci, Jennifer Carpenter, and Nick Stahl attached to it as the leads. It's called She's Still Here. We're still mapping out an exact timeline for them to shoot, but they are planning to still come here. There's a film that's going to be shot around Crater Lake area. That's a feature film. They're trying to get Frances McDermott to sign on to it, though that isn't confirmed yet. There's potentially a third feature and even some more shorts coming. So what that means for our community is part-time jobs, of course. It means an influx of money coming in, because a typical film production, if it's, say, a feature film, it's normally going to be about a month-long film shoot, and they're going to bring maybe 40 or 50 people from Los Angeles who are going to take over one of our hotels, get stipends every day to shop and buy food around town. They're going to hire catering every day with our local restaurants. They're going to hire security. They're going to get rentals. They're going to pay for property use. And one single film can potentially bring in upwards of $1 million into our local community. The end result of that is that once the film's done, we get this amazing art piece that showcases the entire community. Just like the film Phoenix, Oregon, that was shot here in 2018, we now have a historic marker outside of the Daily Bagel that shows where a lot of the scenes were shot. And that film, of course, was the #1 film in America, thanks to a total fluke. I've described that enough times. I think everyone knows the backstory on how that all came about. Well, except Erik doesn't. But basically, the film came out the week that every theater in the country got shut down in March of 2020. But it came out when they also did an online campaign. And because they did an online streaming campaign, they made about $3,500 that first week, and it was the only film to register box office in the entire country. So by default, it was the #1 movie in America. Yeah. Basically, anyone who was a Klamath Film member in 2018 appeared in that film as an extra. We will be having auditions for the next film probably within about a week's time, once I finalize a day and time with the director. We'll be doing auditions most likely at the Ross Ragland Theater for one scene that we're going to be filming at the Herald and News that's going to require about 8 extras. And that'll be filming on a Sunday. Hey, Erik, good to see you again. Are you back on Wi-Fi now?
I think I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, we can. And we have a question in our chat from Lori. Lori's asking you, do you enjoy or avoid watching television so to see or not see yourself in commercials? Do you have a favorite commercial that you were in? I have a guess on that. And do the lines in the commercials get stuck in your head like it can with viewers?
You cut out as it transferred over to the car, but I think she said, do I avoid watching this stuff on TV? Like, do I cringe watching myself do
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, and the answer is yes. Like 100%. I think with most actors, it's just like it's never right, and you don't have final cut usually, and it's, you're never really satisfied with it, and it always looks strange. And then, do things get stuck in your head? Yeah, I think some things for sure. Some things for sure. Some of the commercials more than others, I think. The Volkswagen one, yes, 100%. Even to this day, and that was like 8 years ago or something crazy.
So what Erik is referencing there, he was in a Super Bowl commercial where it was an office setting. We had it in the highlight reel where he has a thick Jamaican accent, and then people come up to him saying, "Dude, you're from Minnesota, right?" But that commercial got a lot of attention because it sparked some controversy. And whether or not you want to delve into this or not, Erik, is totally up to you.
Yeah.
But in the whole kind of hashtag Me Too era, and this kind of hypersensitivity towards different cultures, that came out kind of before all of the whole cancel culture stuff really hit. But there was some pushback on you being a white actor with a thick Jamaican accent in a commercial that, being on the Super Bowl, obviously got tons of attention. Yeah. And certainly Hollywood is no stranger to that. We've talked about it before when Jesse Borrego was a guest, with things like John Wayne playing Genghis Khan in a film, and the Charlie Chan films, and the really cringeworthy role of Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is about as insulting as it comes to Japanese and Chinese people. But what was the? Did you feel any of that backlash after that commercial got so much attention? And what was kind of your experience being the lead in it?
Yeah, it was a little bit strange because this is 2013, so it really predated the Me Too cancel culture thing, but it was the kind of the front end of it. And as is customary these days, the commercials kind of unveil the week before the Super Bowl, and it was a hit at first, and then there was some backlash. There was something written by what's his name? Not Curtis Blow, but he is a columnist at the Washington Post, I believe. And he basically said it's like it's like blackface.
When you
or something equivalent of that. Then it became this national dialogue. It was patois. And what he said was that, and then there was this national conversation about it. Is it racist? Is it not racist? And behind the scenes, I came to learn that Volkswagen was going to they were going to shut down the commercial because they were feeling so much heat. And the director and the production company at the ad agency, they even hired consultants and go, no, you can't back down from this. This is like, it's not racist. It's widely accepted. Don't buy into this. And it was just actually, it was odd because right before the Super Bowl, the what was it, tourism minister and the prime minister, I believe, made a statement as well from Jamaica, and they said, we support this. It's not racist. We're a country of many cultures, and they said we'd like to invite Mr. Nicolaisen to Jamaica to do a press junket and to see our country, and you all can follow along and see that we're a land comprised of white, black, Indian, Chinese, Jamaicans that speak this way, so it's just it was very a dynamic situation that was a kind of a precursor to what's become of this cancel culture. And I was pretty cautious about what I should say. I was a representative of Volkswagen, and I didn't want to do anything to cancel this thing. Looking back with 2020 vision, I may have been a little bit more brazen about it, but
yeah.
Overall, it ended up being a wonderful experience, and Jamaica was amazing. It was like royal treatment, and it was just so much fun. Such a fun moment of time.
Lori just put it in the chat. My first question too, which is, did you get a free trip to Jamaica out of it? Because that would be worth any sort of backlash, right?
Yeah, no, it was free and paid, as a matter of fact, and they invited my wife, I believe. She couldn't come because she was pregnant, I think, with my when was that? My third kid, and so I invited my brother-in-law, who's actually from Kingston. So it was just an amazing time. We stayed in 3 cities in 5 days or something, and I got to meet all these reggae legends that I'd grown up just being in awe of, and it was so cool.
Yeah. And I know you're a big music fan because just over the years since I've known you online, we've talked about music a couple times. I remember I had brought up once my genuine love of Tom Waits music. And I remember you saying that you had tried to play Tom Waits in the locker room once, and all your roommates were like, what the hell is this crap?
Joey in particular couldn't stand Tom Waits. And it's just, I love Joey, but he came down a few rungs that year in my book.
That's shocking because he's supposed to be the musician of the group, of the team at the time, right? He was a big piano player.
You would think he would at least appreciate the early years stuff, right? I don't get it. But
yeah.
He's a Dave Matthews Band guy, and to each his own.
So, Erik, we recently had on the president of SAG Indy as one of our guests, who talked a lot about when it's appropriate for an actor to become a SAG-AFTRA actor. And I know you are a SAG member. Bowen here wants to be an aspiring actor, and that was a really interesting conversation to him to hear when is appropriate to sign up. So maybe if you could talk about when you officially joined SAG and kind of that whole experience and how that has maybe helped your career, or if it's maybe kept you from certain roles, or what.
Yeah. So I think I joined in 2007, And that was after maybe a second or third commercial, I think. I think it was a must join situation. And it definitely helped. You're just doing more quality stuff. It legitimizes your acting, at least in Los Angeles. It legitimizes what you do and the roles you go out for. It shows a commitment to it. And it opens up more legitimate doors, I would say. But that being said, I've really seen since that time in 2007 the failings of the union. The rates for commercials, you could book a handful, 5 commercials in a year and do really, really well. And now I'm involved in the union, and every week I do weekly meetings and stuff in a couple little groups that I'm involved in. You have grown men, veteran actors, 70 years old, crying, going, look, I booked 5 commercials, I booked 6 co-stars, and I can barely clear $27,000 to make my health care this year. So that's my long answer to that short question. But I don't know about the state of the union, especially in Klamath Falls and in Portland and in Oregon. I'm running for local national delegate for Portland. Just because rates continue to go down like this, our union needs to bring a value to actors. This question should be a no-brainer. He should want to become SAG because you understand all the protections, you understand the rates are different. All of those things, it's really hard to convince somebody in Portland or Klamath Falls when they really don't even have an interaction. I've spoken with my agent in Portland. He says, our bread and butter is non-union up here. And the local union they hunt down people that are going off card or working non-union jobs. But he says, we have no other options up here in a lot of regard. Short of the big network shows, there's just not a lot of the other options that aren't non-union. So I don't know. I don't know that the union work would benefit, or the union status would benefit you if you're in Klamath Falls. Unless there's some union productions coming to town, and it becomes the thing where you have to be union. And so I think it's just kind of about the opportunities, and I hope there's more and more union opportunities in Klamath Falls and elsewhere in Oregon. And hopefully I'm elected along with another actor that you probably know, just his face, Erik, who's recently located to Portland as well. And I think we want to make some change so that it becomes a no-brainer. Everyone will want to join because they'll understand the difference between union, and they'll be in a pool where they get to do some really amazing projects and be paid fairly. So that's the hope.
Yeah. So Bowen here has a
question. Does that make sense, or is that just a long rambling answer?
No, it totally does make sense. It's just the whole idea of it is just to be not exactly to tread carefully, but to be tactical about it.
Kurt, can you hear me?
Oh, he might have lost it. Erik, check. Can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up if there's a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you're just really, the whole point of your answer for that question was having to do with just being careful about it, weighing my options, just kind of considering what's happening in the current climate. With that though, what advice would you give to not just me, but anyone wanting to get into acting at this time, just in general, if you could think of anything?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think you need to have another career. And I think that's probably the case in Klamath Falls. It's sadly the case in LA. Even for actors that work a lot, it's getting harder and harder to make money doing that with the online usage stuff and the new media stuff and the buyout rates. It's just really hard. And I encourage everybody to get another profession as well, or a trade. The best thing I did for my acting career, I think, was to start my mural company. Because you don't walk into the room desperate needing to book a job. You're just doing it because you love doing it. And that's one little tidbit. I don't know. Let me think about some other little pearls of wisdom on what to
Yeah, no
consider if you're.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. I'm just curious in general on your thoughts.
Yeah, and I also think that you can
Microphones there.
the playing field has really been leveled too, where the gap between a filmmaker in LA and a filmmaker in Klamath Falls has really gotten very slim. You can use an iPhone and record full movies, and you can make some really great, wonderful content from Klamath Falls, where 10 years ago that would be out of the question. You can get drone shots that look like $35,000 helicopter shots. So make your own stuff, act in your own stuff, and create a demand for yourself.
Okay, great. Erik brought up his mural company, and actually I have a photo of one of the things that he's done. That's a sample of some of Erik's work right there. And he's absolutely right. I spent 12 years working in Hollywood, more so behind the scenes, and even people that you would think are famous and making a great living, you still need to have that backup day job. So Erik, why don't you talk a little bit about your mural company and some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so my mural company Old City Artists and outdoor advertising like that, hand painted, branched out. We do permanent murals, we do construction and architecture type stuff. If you've been to Springfield and you've seen the Ken Kesey on the side of what's the brew pub there in Springfield? We did the Simpsons mural in Springfield. If you've been to Coos Bay, we did the Prefontaine mural that's down there as well when you drive right through town. So it's just an awesome way to help feed the family and to fund the arts and to feed artists that are great studio painters that need to make a dollar as well in between, selling work for their own art. So yeah, just a good, honest living in addition to the acting stuff.
I know you're a little young for this, but I'm wondering if you know the work of Kent Twitchell in murals in LA.
Yeah, I do. He one of my painters that actually paints for me used to work under Kent, and he was kind of a legend. Yeah, there's kind of a giant paint by numbers kind of a style, but his stuff came out looking so photorealistic and awesome. Yeah, he's kind of a legend.
Family friend.
Is he the one who does all of our murals downtown here? Oh, okay. There's a local mural artist here in Klamath who has done a ton of our downtown walls that look photorealistic, but it's all hand painted. It's really extraordinary work. Anytime that you drive down our main street, you can see just one after another. And at first glance, it just looks like a gigantic photograph or like a street banner. Then you get closer, realize it's actually a painting. How much work goes into making one of those murals? Is it like
hand paints are awesome.
Is it like a pre-printed or are you actually hand painting on site on the buildings?
Yeah, we're hand painting on site, and it's done in the traditional way that Michelangelo did the Sistine Chapel, where you're scaling up artwork. And in those days, they would use a pounce wheel to perforate the paper, and then hit the paper with charcoal pounce up on the walls. And what's left is a charcoal transfer, and then everything is kind of roughly lined up where it needs to be, and then you go to town painting it. So there's quite a process in the pre-production, and then there's some really skilled artists in the painting aspect, guys that really have been doing it a long time.
Fantastic. Well, I want to open this up. If anyone has questions for Erik, feel free to bring it up as far as acting or mural writing or football or anything else that you want to talk about. It's very free form. Any questions from our group here, or Joyce and Lori online, or?
Hi. My question is, when you were doing theater in college, did you always have the goal of moving into commercial film, or did you just kind of stumble into that? Most of the actors I know would rather be doing stage.
Yeah, you know, my draw wasn't necessarily for theater. I was always a fan of like Saturday Night Live growing up, and then I did commercials as a kid in Portland. I think somebody spotted me through a after school program and said, hey, you know, we have a talent agency or something, and so I did that until I started playing football in fourth grade actually, and I just knew I always wanted to play for a living, and I just like to pretend, and I like to play characters, and I like to be a kid. It keeps me in touch with like who I used to be. I like to play, and if I could find a way to do that and get paid money, you know, that's like been my ultimate goal always, is to be able to play for a living. And you know, the more you turn the microscope up or whatever they say, the more the universe recedes. And you know, sometimes that's kind of a kid's dream that you start to go, oh, I don't know that I want to do this. You know, do I want to do this all the time? Is it, you know, there's a lot of bumps and stuff when you zoom in, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No worries. Lori has another question in the
how long
chat.
does it take to finish a mural?
Yeah, how long does it take to finish a mural?
Sorry, go ahead, Kurt.
Well, no, I guess you just saw that popped up in the chat. For a question from Lori: how long does it take to finish a mural? Do you create a lot of prototypes and practice murals?
Yeah, it really depends on the size.
Yeah, he froze for a second again.
Murals, you just go at it, and it really depends on the scale.
Wait, we can still hear you, but we lost picture from you.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. You're back.
Eric, did you ever audition for Saturday Night Live or Second City?
Oh, he's still answering Lori's question. Then we'll get to that.
So the murals, we try to finish them as soon as possible. With the advertising game, it's speed. So even the biggest mural, we do one in Portland that is 200 swing stage changes, 4 of them, and the longest that takes us is maybe six to 7 days, depending on the weather. But we try to finish these murals usually, you know, within 3 to 5 days. That's kind of the goal.
That's pretty impressive.
But you can look on the website, oldcityartists.com, plural, Old City Artists. Yeah, it's a fun thing to do. And as far as Second City and Saturday Night Live, no. I did not audition for Saturday Night Live or Second City. Nope. Nope.
Anyone else?
I did the Comedy Store stuff was really. Oh, sorry. I think we're on a lag. Like I see you guys.
Yeah, it's either our connection is slow here or your connection is slow because you're out in the woods. But there is a little bit of a lag. That's okay though. We're working through it.
All right.
Anyone else here, or maybe Joyce? You haven't had a chance to speak up yet.
No, I really don't think I do, but I do admire the mural work I see around town. And I did recognize in the shot you put up Bixby Creek Bridge, which is one of my favorite areas down in the Big Sur area. There it is on the top in the middle there. Yeah, that's very nice. Excellent, beautiful color.
You've had some pretty big.
That was an Alaska. Yeah, that was an Alaska Airlines campaign down in San Diego a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
you've had some really big clients. I saw that you've done some work with Nike, and what other companies have you worked with?
Just tons and tons of companies. Let's see, this week we finished a couple, one for Stone Brewing, another one for a new ice cream company. We have one coming up for Bullet Bourbon. And then we're actually working for Long Beach State at the end of the month, doing some beautification murals at Long Beach State. So it's kind of a wide swath of clients, from the San Diego Zoo to the Ken Kesey's family or the city of Springfield. You know, we try to diversify as much as we can and find a niche for the art.
Fantastic. Yeah, Bowen, go ahead.
So, what advice would you give someone wanting to learn more about acting, or at least develop their skill in the craft?
Yeah, I think just get involved, watch masters at work. You know, I've had some really great mentors that really pointed me in the right direction, and then led me to books or actors to watch. And then you just start to kind of, oh gosh, I really want to do that, or that's really cool, or wow, that was a masterful performance, or whatever.
So
Bill Mesnick recommended a book called by a guy named John Jory when I was just starting out, and I think it's Tips for Actors, and that's really a great one. And then there's a book by Michael Caine that I always really loved. So yeah, I don't know what I can tell you other than that. Just immerse yourself in it, and the game has changed. So like I said, start making your own stuff.
Now that's definitely true. The cameras that I used to use in LA when I was working on music videos that were $20,000-$30,000 cameras are now on eBay for $100, and no one wants them because they're fantastic cameras, but they're all physical film. As soon as everything got digital, and everything got compartmentalized, now you have a cell phone in your pocket that can shoot as good video if you know how to control the exposure triangle between ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. A cinematographer or someone who's learning cinematography skills can use a phone just as well as they can use like a mini Ursa or a Red camera to really get colors pop. So that means that now anyone can be a filmmaker with a couple of lamps in your house and a cell phone, and knowing how to actually correctly use it, you can make really amazing content without what before was such a cost prohibitive career path. Do you agree, Eric, or something you want to add to that? Or
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that like I said, the playing field has been leveled. And when I was starting out, I mean, you're looking for productions to be in, you're looking for theater things you're trying to get into, who's shooting this or whatever, and really you can do it yourself these days. You can write it, you can shoot it, you can edit it, and you can distribute it, all without leaving your house. Frankly, it's kind of amazing. You can make your own opportunities, and
has that made it a lot more difficult to be a working actor, and especially the double whammy of trying to work through COVID? Were there even any jobs for the longest time when LA was basically shut down? I know animation was still going, but I don't think anything else was really happening.
Yeah, my voiceover auditions, were everything shut down for quite some time. Voiceover auditions came back, maybe halfway through or 3/4 of the way through. And then in terms of commercial auditions, the only thing really that was auditioning were car commercials with entire families. They just didn't want to pair people up, so you bring the whole family in, or you do remote stuff. And now, like 2 days ago, I had a callback for an animated commercial for a Smucker's product, and it sounds bad. I really wanted it because it's a fun character. It's like a California raisin. But the callback, usually once it's been established that they really like the direction you're going, they will bring you into the studio, and you'll be there with the producers in the flesh. And this was over Zoom. And the last few that I've had, it's been over Zoom. So you really lose something. You lose that interpersonal thing. You're basically at the it's hard. This whole Zoom remote life thing. They think, oh, I can squeeze all this into my own time. I don't have to run across town. I don't care for it much. It's fine in a pinch, but I don't know.
It's definitely changed. I can't even begin to count how many Zoom calls I've been on over the past year and a half since March of 2020. We actually have an overlap because I'm a former Insomniac Games employee in Burbank, California. And Erik here, some of his voiceover work that he mentioned, he worked on the Spider-Man PS4 game for Insomniac Games. I had left the company by that point, but I worked on all of the Ratchet and Clank and Resistance games at Insomniac between about 2008 and 2011-ish that came out. So when I saw that on your IMDb, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm sure you worked with a bunch of people that I knew. So what is it any kind of different doing voiceover for like video games as opposed to commercial work?
Yeah, it's totally a different animal. Voiceover and mocap is probably more akin to theater. You know, doing video games. I before the union got involved, like in 2006, 7, 8, 9, I was working down in San Diego at Sony SCEA. I played a character in the NBA series, and we would go down for maybe 3 days at a time, and you record on their mocap sets, and they build out some of these, you know, intricate sets with boxes and stuff, and then you're wearing a suit with a microphone, and you have the little suit with the shiny balls all over, and they have cameras all around this giant arena, and you're doing the scenes live. You're doing the scenes in like a full take. So it's like film or it's like theater. Whereas in commercials, it's usually snippets of everything. You're getting wides, you're getting tights, you're getting ISOs on this or over the shoulder here, and you know, but they're getting, because there's like I think there's like 180 Viking cameras down on the Sony the SCEA recording stage. They can zoom into any angle they want, so they record from every single position, and then they do the edit after. So you do it all in one take. So.
Interesting. Do you have a favorite project that you've worked on between all of the TV shows that you've appeared on and commercials and motion capture work and voiceover? Is there something that really stands out to you in your career?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. They're all it's just like all really cool, unique memories. Some are better than others. I can't say there's a one. The Jamaica one was really cool just because it was kind of a dream come true. I'm a huge reggae fan, so it was just a dream role, and I wish it parlayed into something more. It's just so fun to do that.
How long did it take you to perfect your Jamaican accent?
You know, I don't know about that. I used to do a character at the comedy store that used to kill. I kind of take people by surprise. And this was a white actor, and there's an African American sir, and Cat Williams, and all these guys were headliners, and we were one of the second or third act. But I would always, not always, but that was a character. I'd come and I'd do the Jamaican accent and to just take people by surprise. So I don't know how long I was doing that before that commercial came along, but I don't know, few years, I suppose.
Lori had a question in the chat. Is there a video game or character within a video game that you wished you could have done voice acting for?
I just don't play roles. That's my whole relationship with video games at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak for video games. I wish I had the video game career of a guy named Nolan North, who I've worked with a few times. He's the voice of Uncharted, and I mean, he's a ridiculous star in that world. So it's kind of fun. He gets to play all sorts of characters. I think that would be a wonderful career in video games.
More questions over here? Oh.
Are there any major differences or even minor differences between working in commercial acting, and by commercial I don't just mean like TV commercials, but just business acting in general, as opposed to entertainment or just pure entertainment?
I guess I don't understand the distinction. Do you mean like entertaining on the stage, or just for the passion of it?
Well,
or
I
you
Like
mean
acting for
money
commercial.
is there a difference between acting in a commercial and acting on, say, a sitcom or a film?
No, I mean, no. I think at the end of the day, it's always different. The pace is usually different. Yeah, I don't think there's much of a distinction. There may be more of a character arc, obviously. Commercials are a little bit shticky. They have to tell a story in a short amount of time, so you can't go into, there's a lot of stereotypes. You got to, 30 seconds to tell a tale. So.
We were actually talking about that in our film camp at Oregon Tech today, about context of, you can have all this backstory exposition of character one talks to character two back and forth, and do a whole like flashback sequence, or you can tell that entire story in a couple of seconds without having to say a word, with the proper images on screen. You can know everything you need to know about a character without actually having to say anything, if you do it right, as far as camera movement and what you display. Joyce, Lori, anything else that you want to chime in with? I know we still have some time, but I want to make sure that you're not being left out of the conversation.
No, I'm good. I'm enjoy listening to Erik and hearing his story.
Fantastic. David or Court, do you have anything that you want to ask at this time? Otherwise, it'll just be Erik and I kind of shooting the shit for a while.
I have plenty of other questions too.
Chime in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't want to hog the conversation, but would you say that there's anything about the actual performance element of acting, like the craft itself, that is particularly difficult or easy for you?
Looks like Erik might have frozen for a second. Check. Erik, are you there? Can you hear us? You froze on us.
I think I would say like my natural forte is kind of that Meisner. Hold on, let's see. Any better? Any better?
We have audio again,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your picture's frozen, but we can still hear you, so that's
Anything?
fine.
Anything? I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Oh.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear
Well,
you.
here, let me. Is that? Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
Okay. I think one of my fortes is connecting with other actors. It's kind of like that Sanford Meisner type connection thing. So I think that comes easier for me. I think one of the challenges that I'm always battling against is stillness. I'm kind of a spaz. It's really hard to be just planted in your body and to keep your hands still and to be aware of all these things when your natural inclinations, are to be in movement. To work against that's it's challenging.
Makes sense. We've got a couple other actors on that have kind of said similar things of like the direction that they get is often conflicting with their acting style, and it's really difficult to try to mold their style into what the director wants. Have you ever had that kind of conflict where like the direction is so out of whack compared to who you are that it's a real struggle?
I've never really experienced that. I would say, a good director and good actor, you need to be anything that they want. You need, that's the whole point of being a versatile actor, is to be, you need to be malleable, and you really, especially working with a director, you need to be able to go in those directions and allow a director to push you in those directions. I've worked with some really wonderful directors, and one of my favorites is Tom Kuntz, who actually he did that Volkswagen, the Jamaica one. and he's like a master. He's done all of those Old Spice commercials. And we did that Jamaican one 3 different ways. Like, he's like, okay, this time let's try it like you're kind of a young, let's say you don't even know how to speak patois, but you're trying your best. Let's just play it and let's see how it is. And then this one, let's say you're a wise Rasta sage. And then this one, let's say you're more of kind of like a Jamaican punk youth type thing. And then we'll kind of figure out this character and we'll go from there. So it's this, you're really a toy for these directors, and a good director, it's a joy to be used as a marionette. You know, and our job is to be the vehicle for this art, you know, and I think that's the mark of a good actor, is you can be whatever it needs to be, you know, and any good director is gonna put you in a place to succeed too, I think. So.
David, you had a question.
Erik, you did some voice work, didn't you?
Yeah, he did some video game work.
So once you started doing voice work, did more voice work come looking for you afterwards to ask you to take us as part, or did you have to always pursue it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I would say nothing has come easy. You know, you like to think that work begets work, and in some degree it does, because you begin to build a resume, you build a reel that you can shop around. It's your token to market yourself. But no, I don't think more work is necessarily going to follow. But you can market that work and get that out there, and maybe land a great agent that can get you into more rooms. And so it really requires a ton of work, a ton of self-promotion. And, you know, one of the biggest jobs that I had initially was the Sony stuff. And the Sony stuff parlayed itself into more Sony jobs, because I go, oh man, we really like what he's doing here. Maybe he could do this other project that we're bringing along here. So you do a role in this and do a role in that. And you know, the union got involved then with the video games. And we saw, you know, we lost all of our work. All the folks that were working on that, our day rates went from, you know, $1,800 a day down to like $700 a day once the union got involved. And then also what they did is Sony would no longer use that talent anymore. They would do all star names and stuff, or they would do all non-union. So it just it didn't beget more work for a variety of reasons, I would say. But yeah, also I would say you just have to onto what was your name in the beige shirt?
Bowen.
Yeah. Bowen, yeah. And kind of what you were saying, any other pearls of wisdom, it's like, it's a hustle in terms of, it's really a hard road to slog. Even if you were a great actor, in-demand actor, it's hard to just wait around to hope and wish that you get this job or that job.
It's not a passive
especially
process.
What was that?
It's not a passive process. You have to actively keep working and seeking things out.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And you just have to be so aggressive and so assertive about your career and where you want to get and your trajectory, because you can just paddle around in the back eddy all day. You really have to shoot for the agents you want and respect yourself in terms of not getting walked on, and know that this work is maybe beneath you. You're not going to subject yourself to that, and you're going to do this or you're going to do that. And I don't know, it just takes a real self-awareness and then also a can-do attitude. I mean, some of the most enterprising butt-kicking people I know are actors, which is, people wouldn't think that, you know, but they've had to fight and scrap every single day of their career.
Do you have
Did you have to take some regular jobs in between acting gigs?
Definitely, yeah. I initially, when I got down to LA, I took a job in outdoor advertising just because I knew I wanted to relocate there. And then I got down there and I just was a little overwhelmed going, where do I even begin to be an actor? And I ended up getting a job as a production assistant for a buddy who was a commercial producer. So for the first maybe year and a half or 2 years, I worked. I didn't even do any acting. I was just kind of, I had cold feet, and I worked on the other side of the camera. And then I cut the cord, and became a full-time actor. I guess I'd say in maybe 2008. And at that point, I would sometimes work doing mural jobs for my buddy who had a company. He passed away in 2010, and that's kind of how this my mural company came to be. He was in a snowmobiling accident, and that was something that I had done through high school, was painting murals and just helping out. And then when my when my buddy died, there was just a lot of pieces to pick up, and so naturally I just just picked them up and kept moving forward, and that's what I got going now.
Did you do any background art for movie productions, or is that a whole different guild?
Well, if you mean mural stuff, that the answer is no. If you mean acting stuff,
No, I mean, set decoration and like background paintings. They use
Matt.
Yeah, they call it scenic painting.
Is that a whole different animal?
Yeah, it's amazing. Those guys are amazing. They not enamel. They actually most of them use acrylics, believe it or not, and airbrushes and different things like that. I have a few guys on staff that were former scenics. Those are full-time positions at the studios. So that's kind of a different ball game. So no, haven't done that.
It is interesting what Eric's talking about, and it's really a reality. So many people who think they want to be an actor just think all you have to do is move to Los Angeles and then something, I'm rich and famous. And the reality is that even the people who you think of that are the A-list elites started off as extras in the background, or just were serving food or pumping gas and just caught that one lucky break. People like Brad Pitt was an extra. Jerry Seinfeld was an extra. Jennifer Aniston did some really bad horror films early on. Harrison Ford did all sorts of work early on. Jack Nicholson's first role was as a hotel like greeter or something like that. Yeah. So like little teeny tiny roles just to kind of get your foot in the door. And then if you're talented and lucky enough, you can slam that door wide open and get known. But sometimes, I mean, that can take years and years and years. Almost every roommate that I had in LA was an actor or a musician or both. And it's impossible to meet anyone in LA who isn't somehow ancillary, whether in front of the camera or behind it, somehow involved in either acting or music or a combination thereof. Eric, I'm sure you experience it, but maybe you can talk about like the auditioning process and how difficult it is to actually get recognized amidst this just ocean of so many people who move to LA thinking that if I just move to LA and become an actor, then I'll suddenly become rich and famous and in movies. And it just doesn't work like that. What's the auditioning process like?
I think there's definitely a lot of people wanting to do the same thing, like you said, and just to your first point of people opening the door and finding a wild fame and fortune. I also have a lot of friends that had former careers that did some really big things, and now for whatever reason, they just haven't done anything in 6 years or 8 years, and their former cast members have one has a new show on NBC, the other one just is a hit director, and so it's as much a mental game, on finding your just finding your pace, and also having confidence and faith in yourself, and being able to kind of persevere. That's why I say that second job or something else. Even if you have tons of projects coming in, at some point in time, there's going to be a lull, or people stop calling for whatever reason, or a pandemic's going to happen and you don't even want to go into the rooms because the Screen Actors Guild is being so draconian about masks and this and that, or now vaccination status, which is what the national board met for last week. that you don't even want to do that until that stuff gets removed from the table. I'm just thinking hypothetically here.
Right.
But it's nice to have that other thing that you can rely on, so that when you do the acting, it's joyful and it's all play, and you're not desperate. You just do it because you love it.
Is that why there's so many addicts and alcoholics in Hollywood? All the frustration.
100%. It's that, you know, it's those swings. It's the high low. That's part of what people, you know, they think that's part of the art. And that's how they get to that level. That's how they bring the tears or the pain or the, I don't know, what who was it? Frank Lloyd Wright that said that if you took the world and tipped it on its side, everything that was loose would end up in Los Angeles. Pretty good point.
Do you have any horror stories or really funny stories that you can share regarding either auditions or being on set, or anything that really stands out?
Let's see. I don't know. So I got so many different little stories. I don't even know where to. I did a Miller commercial with the Farrelly brothers, or with Peter Farrelly, and that was really awesome. I got to be his kind of clown, and we were shooting a split shift at the Disney Ranch at Golden Oak Ranch, which was a property owned by Walt Disney north of town. And the generator went out at like 8 o'clock at night. And so they had to go, you know, whoever it was, the best boy or whatever, they had to run into town and get a new replacement generator. So it was like a 2.5 or 3 hour lull. We all just like sat around the fire telling jokes and stories. And it was just totally surreal, you know. At one point, I stood up and said, "Okay, guys, I'll see you in the morning." Or something, you know, just all these really magical, surreal experiences. Doing that Dr. Pepper with Steve Smith and Doug Flutie. Steve Smith was actually a teammate of AJ Feely's, and they knew each other. We had several friends in common, and that platypus. They wanted to hit me. They wanted to tackle me, and my agents were like, "Hey, are you comfortable taking a hit?" And you know, I played a little good cop, bad cop. I said, "I'll do it, but you got to put a limit on it, like 2 or 3 hits, and then I'm gonna need like a stunt bump too. You know, you're gonna need to put a little extra money there. You hire a stunt man, they get paid accordingly. I'll do the stunt, but you need to put a limit on it." And so anyway, so it was a stunt man in this platypus outfit, and we had a bag for me to fall on. And he hit me once. I'm supposed to run into it full speed. You can watch the commercial again. And the second one, I'm like doubled over, and Steve Smith's like, "Dude, you're messed up, huh?" I'm like, He's like, "Oh my God, you're wrecked right now, huh?" So that was kind of fun. I mean, from every job I got, it's just fun little. That's part of the joy of it. Is it's like it's always something new. It's kind of like painting murals as well. Is it's always a different job. It's never the same, and you have to use your tools to kind of traverse it. And you're always, I don't know, like going to war. You know, you have a new platoon, new troop that you're with every time, and just I don't know.
You also you took a pretty big hit in that Geico football commercial as well too, or was that a stunt double?
Well, that one, that's funny because what's his name? Harold Einstein. He's a little bit. He's a skinny, nebbish New York guy, and he maybe weighs 150 pounds. He says, "Oh my gosh, Erik, it's gonna be hilarious. You're gonna get crushed. Like, so you're gonna do the scene. You're gonna back up, and then this big guy. He's like a tight tackle or something. He's gonna just absolutely crush you. It's gonna be hilarious. Are you cool taking a hit, right?" So I said, "Oh yeah. This was at the fitting." And I get around the corner, I call my agents, and I go, "I am not taking a hit. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I need you guys to make sure that there's a stunt person." And so they ended up getting a stunt double for me to take that hit. So thank God I didn't have to take it. That guy played with Josh Wilcox for a while, I think. I talked to Josh about it. He's a good buddy of his.
Yeah, I know Josh very well. Him and his brother both. My brother and I were always super jealous of Josh and Justin because they got to grow up being ball boys at Autzen Stadium, And that was the dream job for my brother and I when we were kids too. So
Yeah, it would have been cool.
yeah.
I have a little bit of a question about an earlier thing you were talking about is I'm really curious about it is what are the ins and outs of talking and working with agents and like scoping them out and trying to find them and trying to score an agent?
It's really a tough question. I think that the rule of thumb is you want the agent you can't get, and you can't get the agent you want. And you can't get the agent without the resume, and you can't get the resume without the agent.
That's 22.
There's just no real path, and that's what I mean. It's always this uphill climb. You have to figure it all out. I remember I spent years trying to get a good agent, and I had a breaking point. I think it was like 2009. I remember I went across town in the middle of a rainstorm in LA, and I was so excited because it was an agent. I think it was like a kind of a it was a teeny little agency. I think looking back, they weren't anything of note, but it was an agent nonetheless. And I was still coming up as like maybe my second year in LA, and I'll never forget. I had a suit on, and I ran across the parking lot. I was hailing, and it was just the effort to get to this place that I didn't know was like 45 minutes away through traffic. And I got in there, and I sat in a lobby for 25 minutes. And then this older woman called me in. She's sitting at her desk, and she takes her glasses down to her nose for a second, and then says, "Put your headshot and your resume here, and we'll call you if we like you." And I said, I sat down in the chair, and she lowered her glasses again, like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell me why I should sign with you. Go." Her face dropped. She stood up. She was so upset. "Get out of my office." I said, "No, sell me on it. Why should I sign with you?" But that's the thing. Like, there's just so many it's a hustle. It's a racket. And one of the great things that I heard from one of my mentors was, look, you're a doctor making a house call. When you go to an audition, that's your moment. That's your time. That's your time. You are the doctor making the house call. So if you need it done a different way, or you need things to be right, then speak up. But don't just come in there doe-eyed like you're just a guest at the house, Anyway, sorry. Back to the agent thing. There's no real set course. It's about meeting people, and it's about doing good work.
But it's
put together a reel. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just regardless of how it's done, just be assertive.
Yeah, and put yourself in their shoes. You're a commodity. So if you have some material that makes you look marketable, and oh, that's cool. He's funny, or he's a great actor, or man, he's handsome, and I think I could get him in some stuff, or he's got some chops, or whatever your story is. Find that niche, and get some work on tape, and get that under agents' noses, and then you assemble a team of people that believe in your abilities and want you in their bag of tricks, and that's kind of the name of the game.
Is the agent's cut, is that universal, or is it the more unknown you are, the bigger the cut they're going to take?
No, if they're a SAG franchised agent, it's standard 10%. So that's 10%. And non-union stuff, it goes up quite a bit. And I think, and you'll see in Portland and Klamath Falls, I think the non-union stuff, it's more like 20%, or even higher, because they don't have residuals and things like that. So I'm happy to pay the 10%. My agents are great, and they work hard, and I get in good rooms, and you don't even think twice about paying it. It's fair.
Are there because you were talking about this also a little bit, somewhat tangentially, but are there any like major things to just avoid, or like red flags, just in any aspect of the industry, that as an actor, or especially an aspiring actor, one should avoid?
Well, no, I think I would just recommend that everybody kind of knows their rights as an actor. I'm involved with something called Solidarity, which was started by this really a wonderful actor, and he was a casting associate for a long time, Sean Sharma. But it's a It's non-political. We meet every Wednesday night. We've been around for about 2 years, and it's all about education, actor education, and just education on the Screen Actors Guild and all the ins and outs of our industry. And so it's making us accountable to understand the contracts, to understand what's a forced call, what's legal, how many hours are you supposed to be allowed on set, what's the rate, what's the going day rate for a screen actor principal, what's the going rate for a background, what's the going, how did we get to this point? What's the Netflix new contract all about? And what did we lose? Or what are we gaining? Or, so there's all these ins and outs. You can actually go to solidarity.us and you can see a lot of the work we've done on that. There's a PDF, or it's so extensive. If you shoot me an email, if anybody wants to be involved, you don't have to be a union actor. You don't have to be an actor. You just have to be, interested in the film industry. And it's an education, and you can really understand the industry a whole lot better, and you can traverse it better if you understand it better. People get used all the time. I remember I did some shoot, and another guy in the shoot actually was in the Oregon theater department with me. And this is after 3 years of being out of Oregon, and they wanted to keep us for like 2 or 3 extra hours or something. And so I think it was before we were union, I want to say, or no, maybe it was a union spot. And I remember saying, like, you actually can't, what are we getting? Like, this is OT, right? And he ended up saying, like, no, like, just keep it quiet, okay? Like, don't tell the other, what do you want? You want OT? Like, just don't tell the other actors. I'm like, this is like, that's not how, it's not how it's supposed to be done. Like, I know how so the more you educate yourself and you understand how it's supposed to be, the more empowered you are, the less people can push you over. And ultimately, the more respect people have for you. And I don't know, further your career will go, I would say. But who knows? Maybe I'm just optimistic and a contrarian. So
Unfortunately, Hollywood has a very long history of some really ugly things, like the whole casting couch tradition for female actresses. Yeah, hopefully maybe the Harvey Weinstein thing has maybe ended that tradition, but that's a century-old plus thing that's gone on from the early days of Hollywood. Have you been in any recent projects, Erik, that we can catch that may be coming up soon? Any commercial work or TV work that we should keep an eye out for?
I did a Country Time lemonade commercial. I think it's been shelved. I don't know. It was supposed to come out right before COVID, and then I haven't seen anything. And aside from that, what have I done recently? I actually did something for Physicians for Informed Consent, which is some lawyers and doctors that I love that are kind of on the battle lines for medical freedom. I did something there for them. I don't know where you could find that though. But no, there's just nothing that I'm aware of that's cooking. I gotta say, since COVID started, I haven't even wanted to be on set. Like I have a lot of friends that have been on set, and boy, one of them said, I don't ever want to do that until this is over. Like in between takes, I had to wear a visor and a mask. Like, this is not why I act. This is not what I want to do. It ruins the joy of this thing. I had another friend that did I think Red State. That he was escorted to and from the set to his hotel room for a month and a half with no contact with the cast. All meals were delivered to his door for like 6 or 7 weeks. Or like, who wants to do that? So, and SAG, even in places like Tennessee and Texas, they said, no, we're keeping a mask order for our sets, even though that your governors say that you don't have to wear a mask. So I'm kind of conflicted. I don't know. I don't really want to play the game right now, and I just hope things change.
Well, speaking of play the game, Lori had another question in the chat as far as your football past and your acting present and future, whether you kind of accept the two or whether you kind of want to shun and not let people know that you were a football player, or you've demonstrated in a couple of commercials now of donning a uniform or playing football in them. So that, to me, it seems like having collegiate football player on your resume might open the door if certain gigs come up that way? Or is that something that you like to just kind of push aside and just solely focus on the acting?
No, I think it's fine. I don't. I'm proud of my time at Oregon, and I guess it's. I'm no young buck, so it's every football job I get, I go, this has got to be the last one. This has got to be the last one. And then I got that Dr. Pepper a couple years ago, and I said, oh God, this has got to be the last one. So I think I'm moving out of that category, thankfully, for my stuntmen. But yeah, I don't know how marketable it is at this point, but I'm proud of my Oregon roots. And you know what's crazy is so many different actors that you meet down here. At least when I was younger, hey, I'm J.R. Lemon. Oh, you went to Oregon? Oh, I played for Stanford. Or there's a big pipeline, I would say, of former athletes. What's his name? Esau. He was Jake Plummer's receiver at Arizona State, who's the Old Spice guy.
Yep.
I hung out with him.
I was going to say Terry Crews played for the Washington Redskins. I'm actor now.
Musafa. Yeah. So it's there's a lot of guys with the football.
While we're on that topic, any football stories that you want to share, either behind the scenes? You know, as you know, and that's kind of how we first got connected, at least via social media. I've had, even though I was never big enough to ever play, I had a ton of connections with former players and getting to know a lot of stuff through when I was doing Fish Duck and Campus Attic and all of my video work. I've found that the greatest stories aren't from, fans get to enjoy the game day, but game day is 1% of your experience as a student athlete. All of the preparation and time in the weight room and practical jokes on each other. And is there any like really fun stories that stand out from your days as an Oregon Duck?
Just tons of stories. Just such wonderful stories. I don't even know where to begin. I used to really enjoy. I used to do the rookie shows. I would kind of MC the rookie shows, and it was just an opportunity to bring out some characters and to just play and I don't even know. I don't know. There's just a ton of stories and a ton of wonderful friendships that to this day some of my best friends are my teammates that I played with in Oregon. So. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Anything you got arrested for?
A lot of hijinks. I got arrested, but not for anything. That was actually during acting. Or actually, production assistant went to shoot this is a fun story. Went to shoot a commercial when I was a PA for Southern Comfort in New Orleans. And I remember one of the production managers told me, don't get arrested. It's like, what do you mean? He said, I was down there with a director like last year. And the cops down in New Orleans, they're no joke. Like I had to throw myself over him so he wouldn't get beaten by a baton. I was like, yeah, whatever. And it was about 7:00 at night. We just finished the pre-production meeting, and we were bringing $3 million worth of Southern Comfort commercials down there. The director was Jeff Blitz. I don't know if you saw the Spelling Bee documentary. He also directed a ton of The Office stuff too. Jeff Blitz, really a great guy. But he had a directing team, Carter and Blitz. But anyway, we were walking out of this bar from Bourbon Street. We had one beer, and the cop. I just saw the director. I was actually with the producer, who I was working for, got thrown up against the wall, and I didn't even know who. I was like, whoa, hold on, what's going on here? And the partner threw me up against the wall. And I said, look, there has to be a misunderstanding here. Turns out that see the badge, see the gun, we can blow your heads off, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, they took us to Orleans Parish Prison, walked us down the street. It's a Friday night. I said, what are we getting arrested for? And he said, assaulting a police officer. I said, we didn't ever touch you. What are you talking about? He said, drunk in public. I said, we've had one beer. It's 7:30. He said, well, you smell like alcohol. That's enough for us. And so we spent the night in Orleans Parish Prison, and it was just packed on a Friday night. It was hilarious. a great story. And it turns out those two cops, right at Hurricane Katrina, they beat up the 65-year-old retired police officer. They lost their badges and guns for the rest of their lives. One of them actually did himself in a few years later. Like, these are like bad dudes. Anyway, that was a production story that these things follow me. I get all kinds of wonderful stories from my.
They saw the Yankees coming.
What's that?
They saw the Yankees coming.
I guess so. Yeah, they could smell us.
Cord or Rowan, do you have more
Could you say
questions?
anything about, since you've done a little bit of comedy work, could you say anything about how just how to incorporate humor into acting, or at least how to develop it as a skill set, or not only that, just how comedy work and acting can be so intimately intertwined?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. There's a great documentary on Amazon Prime on the Comedy Store, and you'll kind of get an understanding on how it's kind of a dumb industry, Hollywood is, and they actually use places like the Comedy Store to make some of their casting decisions. So I've seen a real pipeline from my friends that do stand-up into TV and film. So there is a natural segue there. And you're getting an audition every night. Not necessarily live comedy, but I guess I'm using that as an example. Whenever you're up doing stand-up or whatever it is, you're showing yourself. You know, it's kind of like an audition, and it's these guys that have stand-up every night of the week somewhere. It's like 5 auditions a week where you have a lot of eyes on you, and
It's a presentation.
but I don't know how to groom the comedy thing. I think it's there or it isn't. I think you can develop it. When I've seen people that have comedy chops, they kind of go in that direction, and then I have friends that don't have that, and they're more in the theatrical direction with their career, And
Have you ever seen anyone that's really flexible or adaptable?
yeah, they can do. You mean they can? That's been able to expand towards comedy or something?
That just has such a wide range that they can be the dramatic, the theatric, or they can be funny, or they can just do whatever. Have you ever seen anyone?
Tons of people in LA are that way. I have so many friends. A couple people come to mind. A girl named Maggie Benjamin, who I don't even think she's acting anymore. She was in the original cast of what was the Broadway show with it was on AIDS. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Rent.
She was in one of the original. She's like the original run of Rent, and she's hilarious, but she's also a great actress. And that's the thing is, like, some of these people they just do other things. They want to be a mom, or they just get sick of the pace, or they get it's like, oh my God, you can't not act. You're like amazing. What are you talking about? You can't, but that's what's so crazy. It's not just about talent. It's about opportunity. It's about hustle. It's about drive. It's just so much. But yes, there's so many flexible people. There's so many people that have, the training is ridiculous. And then there's some people, which is like, they got picked from a YouTube channel. They're now basing a Nickelodeon show around them, and they're considered a star. It is such a strange place, Hollywood.
So, sorry, you can finish. Whatever.
No, I mean, I'm pretty much finished. I'm just saying it's like all over the place. There's so many versatile, amazingly talented people, and then also people that they make stars and they're really talented. So there's just no rhyme or reason. You just kind of.
What would you say is the worth of like actually having an acting degree or like an education and formal training as opposed to just coming in and learning as you go and just coming in almost as like a ragtag?
Yeah, I think I think that the argument can be made that any formal, expensive degree is questionable in this day and age, depending on what you do with it. And depending how much you pay for it. I don't know what good an acting degree, it gives you, look, I have a lot of friends that were theater majors that still owe hundreds of thousands of dollars for their MFAs and all this other stuff, and they can't get a $700 job. And that goes for my friends that have BFAs or MFAs, and some of my employees who were convinced to go to Art Center, and they now owe $200,000, and they can't. So I guess I don't know what that answer is. A good art school, if you can find mentors and you can find an opportunity to hone your craft, I mean, maybe it's worth it. You know, maybe the right situation is really worth it, but it doesn't buy you anything. Like, you're not guaranteed coming out of Carnegie Mellon or Harvard or top of their class in some of these prestigious acting academies. And acting schools have been doing summer stock since high school, Juilliard, and they still are in the same boat as me, channel. So I think if you really want vehicles, but I will say some of those things like Carnegie Mellon, Juilliard, Hasty Pudding, like, they have an alumni that will help you when you get to LA. They'll have showcases for these students where all the who's who in Hollywood is invited to come and see the newest class of Carnegie Mellon actors to maybe sign them. So you can bypass a lot of things by getting the right agent or manager to get you into the right rooms. You can save yourself a lot of time.
Okay. Erik, we're starting to.
Or maybe you do amazing work, or you're in the right place.
So you cut out on that last part a little bit, but more just saying that you can bypass a lot of the things by going to those schools. But I guess the main thing of your point is that the playing field is still relatively very level, regardless of where you go and how you try to get into it.
I would say,
yeah.
While Erik's frozen, I would say yes. That's very true. A lot of it's just really just dumb luck.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly,
and just making your own luck as much as possible.
It's all down here.
Oh, okay. Erik, okay, good. We still have you. We're coming up on 8 o'clock. Erik, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. Maybe we'll just have one more round. See if anyone has any final things that they want to chime in with. But we really appreciate your time and joining us and sharing so much great information. Thank you so much. Court, why don't we? Do you have anything that you want to chime in with before we call it good for the night?
One quick question, because I know you do a lot of commercial work. What's the residual situation like down there these days?
Poor to grim, I think. Fair assessment. Poor to grim. Yeah, you know, the residuals. It's just gotten bad. They're doing more and more buyouts. They do. A good example is there's now what they call a low budget digital waiver that the Screen Actors Guild is allowing people. If you have less than $50,000 for a commercial, they'll grant you this low budget digital waiver, and you don't have to do residuals. It's like a small day rate. And my buddy who works at Deutsch, one of the biggest ad agencies, he goes, "Oh yeah, we figured that one out about the next day after they passed it." Said, we just do, let's say we have $200,000 for a commercial. We do the commercial and we do 3 5-second YouTube teasers, like just a static shot of, you know, whatever it is. And then that counts as 4 commercials for $200,000. You divide 200,000 by 4, there's your $50,000 a commercial, and we qualify for the low budget digital waiver. So it's these games. Our union is always behind the advertisers, and we get hosed. So, you know, one of my wife's patients, when I first moved to LA, he said, "Oh, I did a Colgate ad. I did a Colgate ad when I was 25, and it paid for my house." Like, back in like 1986. He said it was like a $220,000. It ran for like 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unheard of. When I first got to LA, maybe over a year and a half, maybe my commercials would gross 60 or 80 grand. And then within a couple years, it's down to maybe you're lucky if you're going 25 grand. And then now, you're just hoping that it's more than maybe 6 or 7 grand. So, I mean, it's that big of a drop off, and it's hard. It's really hard to book commercials too. So,
well, we just lost Lori. She had to say goodbye for the night. But Joyce, is there anything that you'd like to chime in with as we kind of call it good for our July meeting? Joyce, are you there?
I'm here. No, but it's been great listening to Erik. From my standpoint, it seems like it's really a hard market to get into. So Dawson back there, I wish you good luck.
David, is there anything that you'd like to ask as we kind of wrap things up? Okay, Bowen?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. It's been very insightful. I'd really like to that solidarity.us. That would be really nice to join if possible.
Yeah, shoot me. Anybody that wants to be involved in that, or even has further questions going down. I field so many questions. Like Jeff Eberhardt would hook me up with people coming down to Hollywood, or like Devin Long, or another guy that wants to be a writer. So many people have emailed me with their questions. Should I move down there? What should I do? How do I get into it? I'm really always happy to be a resource. So get my email from Kurt, and if you want to be a part of these weekly meetings every Wednesday night from, I think it's 6:30 to 8:30 Pacific time, it's really a great group that we're growing. That you'll see some name actors in there, but it's a cool opportunity to meet people, to understand more about not only the union but our industry, and it's really a growing force that I'm hoping is going to help shape this union for the better. And then, like I said, I'm running for posts in the Portland local. So if you know anyone that's a SAG member, vote for me so I can try to have a local effect up there, and work with my buddy Erik to try to bring more film there and to kind of right the ship.
Do you
and maybe get some films to Klamath Falls.
Do you have any tie-ins with OMPA or the Oregon Film Office and Tim Williams?
I don't. I actually, the last meeting that we had at the Portland board, or the Portland local, he spoke.
Okay.
So I know that there's a big initiative to try to get more films in Oregon, and he's really involved. And that local, that's kind of like that's their whole purpose, I think, is what they claim. They're just trying to bring more films. So
we have a great relationship with OMPA and the Oregon Film Office, and they've done fantastic work in expanding film opportunities across the state, increasing incentives to come here. And what we're seeing here in Southern Oregon is an increase in interest in filming in our region, not just because obviously no sales tax helps, but then the statewide incentives, and then at least in our part of the state, I'm not sure if you ever got a chance to get down towards the Crater Lake area. I grew up in Eugene, but this is home now. Diversity of landscapes is the number one thing that we're able to sell to Hollywood, in that where we're at right here in Klamath Falls, within about a 20-minute drive, go in that direction, you get desert. That direction, you get lakes and rivers. That direction, you get open ag plains. That direction, you get city. And then you also get forest. The only thing we're missing is beach. So we have that almost every landscape you could want as a backdrop, all kind of centralized around one community, which means less travel on a film set, which means saving money on a production. So that's the way we're kind of selling our area to Hollywood to try to bring more productions here.
Yeah, it seems like a good angle. You got to get in with the location guys.
Yeah. Well, Erik, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out. It's great to finally formally meet you after years of Facebook messages back and forth.
Yes.
I'll send you the link to your now football highlight reel that you can pass along to folks.
Thank you.
And Bowen, I'll get you his email address so that you can touch base as far as solidarity.
Thank you very much.
And I don't know, hopefully we'll be seeing you in some TV shows and commercials again here soon enough.
Yes, yes. Knock on wood. Thanks again for having me, guys. Love to talk, and hopefully I'll be representing the actors there up in the great state of Oregon here soon, and we'll talk again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the time, Eric. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you back here first Thursday of the month for the August meeting. So
Cool.
thank you, Joyce, for
All right,
joining.
guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Go Ducks.